Happy Sunday, friends. Thanks for setting the tone for your week with us here at CBS Sports HQ. I'm Haley Sutton. You know, I went to the weekend concert last night at Hard Rock Stadium before the Dolphins returned to start the season. And our guy Abel has some bars, but dare I say none more attention-grabbing than what Dillon Gabriel said yesterday during his first NFL preseason game. Take a listen.
It's just part of it. You know, there's entertainers and there's competitors. And I totally understand that. And my job is to compete. And that's what I'm focused on doing. Of course, we're doing this mid-game, but, you know, it's something that I'll get used to and just want to be the best team that I can and create an environment where we can all go do our best work. That's all we want to do.
So take that with what you will. We'll talk about it in a second. But as the season goes on, you're probably going to ask us if we do this every day. And we'll say often, because these two are going to be tied together often throughout their careers as you take a look at the two different performances from the rookie quarterbacks out in Cleveland. Shedeur getting the start in preseason game 1. Dillon Gabriel getting the start yesterday in preseason game number 2. Certainly no shortage of quarterback drama both in Cleveland and across the league. And here to discuss it all is our NFL analyst Tyler Sullivan. Tyler, it is hard to reflect on the performance of Dillon Gabriel when that conversation we just heard is floating around the internet. I will add that Gabriel clarified post-game he was referencing us, the media. Apparently we are the entertainers in this situation. Tyler, what did you make of the comments, and where does this quarterback battle stand going into the final week of the preseason?
I mean, he can say that it's us. He could say that it's not what he intended, but it's hard not to put those two things together, considering the situation the Cleveland Browns and Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders find themselves in. I wonder if he looks at it and says, hey, listen, I know that Shedeur Sanders is the guy that's getting a lot of the pump, but he is the 5th-round pick. I am the 3rd-round pick. Maybe give me a little bit more attention. It's tough not to go there when you hear that comment, whether or not he meant it or not. But when you look at this quarterback situation for the Cleveland Browns, I thought it was an okay outing for Dillon Gabriel. I think everything will be made of that terrible pick 6. He was also involved in a fumble on a botched handoff as well, so involved in 2 turnover-worthy plays. You can't have that when you're in a quarterback battle. I did think he made some nice throws, very similar to Shedeur Sanders. I know Sanders didn't have an interception in his outing, but there were some iffy throws in there as well. So I think if we're evaluating both of these quarterbacks, I would say they look like rookies. They look like rookies that were taken on day 2 or possibly day 3. They haven't taken the job and said, you know what, these guys really have stated their case to start week 1. So if we're looking for winners in all of this, it's that old man up there at the top and Joe Flacco. I think he's possibly the winner here, because I don't think that there's any really room here to say that other quarterbacks have put themselves in the conversation to start week 1. Joe Flacco was kind of the guy coming into camp that had the inside track. I don't think that's changed so far.
It's interesting, when I talked to Emery yesterday regarding Dillon Gabriel and what he had to prove, he said it was really a good opportunity for Gabriel to take over Kenny Pickett's role right now, which we assume is QB1, or QB2, I'm sorry. So obviously it gave us a lot to think about both off the field and on the field, but we'll leave it there as Cleveland tries to wrap up the preseason next week. In the meantime, Tyler, we had a New York derby that ended in favor of the G-men yesterday when the Giants took down the Jets. Jaxson Dart, though, impressive with a couple of touchdowns. He had some positive passing performances. Talk to me about the Giants quarterback situation, Tyler, because we know Mr. Unlimited is going to get the start in week 1. But did Jaxson get Brian Daboll maybe thinking about an earlier 2025 debut?
It's hard not to be excited if you're the New York Giants from what you've seen from Jaxson Dart through 2 preseason games. On CBSSports.com, I graded the quarterbacks coming out of week 1 of the preseason. I put Dart at number 1. He was going up against some starters, really showed out, had that tremendous touchdown throw with traffic around his feet, was able to make a throw, and he followed that up with a really good performance the other night. 14-16, 2 touchdowns total, 1 passing, 1 rushing. He's just looked the part. He's passed the eye test so far. And you're right, Russell Wilson's going to start the season as the starting quarterback, but it does feel like a matter of time before Jaxson Dart in this new era for the New York Giants kind of ushers in. The question is when. And when you look at the New York Giants schedule, it's really hard to find an easy landing spot for their young quarterback. They have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL this season. And so I kind of wonder, what does Brian Daboll do? I kind of look at maybe week 7, and it's not an easy landing spot. It's at the Denver Broncos. But the reason why I look at that is maybe one of the earlier windows that Jaxson Dart could become the starting quarterback is because they play the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football the week prior. That's typically a window with the mini bye of sorts where if you start the season off a little bit sluggish, I think they play the New Orleans Saints in week 5. That might be their only win considering how tough their schedule is. If you get shellacked by the Philadelphia Eagles in that Thursday night game in prime time, maybe that's the last-ditch lever for Brian Daboll to hit, to maybe throw Jaxson Dart in there. But overall, it's encouraging to say that you can have a guy develop in the shadows. Hopefully, Russell Wilson is able to keep them afloat. And then in 2026, you can really turn the keys over to your young quarterback in Dart. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. But right now, through 2 preseason games, it's hard not to like what we saw from Dart.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule with you, Tyler. Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, that Saints game, Eagles, then Broncos. So I don't think we'll see Jaxson Dart anytime soon in the first half of this season, but it sounds like Giants fans could get used to cheering on their new star boy out in New York. Meantime, you've got a quick read up on CBSSports.com regarding the Colts quarterback situation. Shane Steichen told reporters yesterday he's close to naming a starter, but he wants to make the best decision for the team. Tyler, based on what you saw from both Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones yesterday, what is the best decision for the Colts?
Yeah, this is like the least fun quarterback competition that I can remember because it just feels like, all right, you're going to be mid no matter what. But still, I think if we were going to determine a winner, I think it would be Daniel Jones because I look at Anthony Richardson and I see highest of highs and I see lowest of lows. With Daniel Jones, and I wrote this on CBSSports.com, the offense ran a little bit smoother, and I probably should have wrote it ran a little bit safer. And I think if you're Shane Steichen, if you are the Indianapolis Colts, who won 8 games, by the way, last season. I think kind of people overlook that. I think you kind of just need a safe, boring quarterback, and I think that would give you Daniel Jones because you look at Anthony Richardson, and yesterday's a great example. He threw that beautiful pass down the right sideline, hit his receiver perfectly in stride. It was called back due to a penalty, but overall, I just look at some of the other throws, and that's the one that's going to get the pump, but I see a couple other throws that were in traffic that really were dangerous. And if that's going to translate into the regular season, I just feel like that could completely tank games for the Indianapolis Colts. I look at Daniel Jones, on the other hand. Yeah, you're still going to get some dangerous throws. He had a botched snap that the ball hit the turf. They were able to recover it. But he also had some really nice throws to Michael Pittman. We saw that earlier, to Tyler Warren. So to me, I think the safer option, even though you might not have as high of a ceiling, but to me, it's Daniel Jones.
Of course, AR5 after the game, saving those tears for another day. He said, if I'm not good enough to be the starter, then I guess I need to work harder. He is always so candid when he speaks to us entertainers, Tyler. The preseason also gives coaches a chance to try out new things. We had an all-LA showdown yesterday where Rams assistant head coach Aubrey Pleasant took over coaching responsibilities. After the game, of course, he was asked about Matthew Stafford and his status, and he smartly deferred to his boss, Sean McVay, on that one. But I defer to you, Tyler. When it comes to Matthew Stafford, we have not seen him do anything competitive this preseason. Where does your concern level go in year 17 now for Matt Stafford?
Well, and not only that, they reportedly declined to comment if Matthew Stafford worked out on Saturday, which just continues the uneasy feeling surrounding Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford. It's giving me Christian McCaffrey vibes from last season where he was dealing with an injury and all of a sudden, he should be fine. We get to week 1. He's a surprise scratch, and we all know what happened throughout that season for Christian McCaffrey and the San Francisco 49ers. I kind of am getting those similar vibes, which is not great for a team in the Los Angeles Rams who legitimately have a Super Bowl ceiling. They are a sexy team to pick to come out of the NFC West, to come out of the NFC in general. Of course, you remember last season, they were the ones that took the Philadelphia Eagles to the brink in the playoffs, gave them the most run for their money. They go into the offseason, they bring in Devontae Adams, which I think is an upgrade at this stage over Cooper Kupp. They have a young, emerging defense, but all of this kind of comes in vain if Matthew Stafford isn't healthy, because Jimmy Garoppolo, he's no Iron Man either. So this quarterback situation could kind of dissolve rather quickly for them as the season goes along. And the other thing that we should point out here too is that the Los Angeles Rams have the toughest schedule within the NFC West. Not something that a lot of people point to. We look at the San Francisco 49ers, the easiest schedule in the entire NFL, but you look at that division, the Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals, along with the 49ers, have an easier road in 2025 than the Los Angeles Rams. You have to account for that. So it's a tougher road than the rest of their division foes. We don't know what's going to happen here with Matthew Stafford, a 37-year-old dealing with a back injury. It feels like things are teetering here, and I know it's August and we still haven't even hit week 1, but it does feel like things are teetering here with the Los Angeles Rams.
And you mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo as the backup. They also have Stetson Bennett, who we know was not very consistent last year in terms of his availability. He did throw for over 320 yards last night, though, so we'll keep our eye on it. Tyler, you know what I'm keeping my eye on, though, as the preseason wraps up here. The LA Cowboys are back home, and we know the cloud that is hanging over this team is the Micah Parsons situation. And it's interesting, Tyler, because, you know, Jerry Jones is so interested in talking about everything but Micah Parsons. We saw him yesterday on the sideline before their preseason game against the Rams. There you have it. You see Jerry Jones in the frame as well. No interaction whatsoever from the two. Obviously, Micah did not play yesterday, Tyler, as he waits for a new deal. Jerry, I mean, he might as well just left him behind here, Tyler. At what point is enough for the Cowboys fan base, for the team itself? How long do we drag this out? Are we going to see another Dak situation unfold?
And Haley, you know this better than anybody. It's comical at this point, because it does feel like it would be so Cowboys that we're going to be ringing the alarm bells and going crazy about whether or not Micah Parsons is going to be traded or not. Would it shock anybody if all of a sudden we get to week 1, the Philadelphia Eagles are hanging their banner, and somehow Micah Parsons is playing on a new contract that makes him the highest paid player in the NFL that's not a quarterback? Like, I could still see that future happening. It's just that the Cowboys like to go down a path that gets them the most headlines. And so I'm just kind of scratching my head at what Jerry Jones is trying to accomplish here. Are we trying to accomplish to have CBS Sports HQ talking points, or are we talking about winning Super Bowls? And if you have Micah Parsons and you have the roster that you do have talent that could take you deep into the playoffs. But right now, you haven't settled your situation with arguably your best player on either side of the ball, and you're going into a season where the two teams that were in the NFC Championship were in your division. Like, you have to get ready to go out of the gate as fast as you possibly can to keep up with those division foes. You obviously see one of those in week 1 in the Philadelphia Eagles. It just feels like they should have had this wrapped up much, much sooner, and it's only going to cost them money. I mean, we've seen the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL title switch hands multiple times this offseason. It's Max Crosby, it's TJ Watt more recently. Max Crosby signed a deal that is an average annual salary of around $35 million per year. TJ Watt's $41 million per season. Anywhere in between, it's a lot cheaper for Jerry Jones. Now he's going to have to go over that $41 million per season number. So it's not only costing you wins, it's also costing you money. Just for a few headlines, it seems head-scratching.
It's interesting as well, Tyler, at the end of the pregame show hit that he was on yesterday for DallasCowboys.com, he sent out this message to the fans, and he was like, trust me, I hear you guys. I want to win a championship just as bad as you do, and I think the first step to that is signing Micah Parsons. But we will wait and see, Tyler. I feel it coming sooner rather than later. We appreciate your time this morning breaking down the latest headlines when it comes to the preseason. But we know the preseason is wrapping up. The action will return to CBS on September 7th. Make sure to check your local listing to catch your favorite team. And you can also stream the game on Paramount+.